Welcome to News Today with Universal Parks News Today. I'm Annie Wilson, and here is the news for September 12th, 2023. Halloween Horror Nights is in full swing at the Universal Orlando Resort. Along with full reviews for every house, scare zone, and food item, we have the list of Stay and Scream locations with their corresponding haunted houses. Stay and Scream areas are locations where guests with valid Halloween Horror Nights tickets can wait for the event to start. Guests already inside the park before the park's 5 p.m. closing time can scan their HHN ticket and wait in one of 3 holding areas. The event will officially open the gates at 6:30 p.m., but guests in Stay and Scream locations are able to access certain Halloween Horror Nights houses before other guests. Here are the locations along with their corresponding houses. The Central Park and Springfield areas are combined for one Stay and Scream zone with access to The Last of Us and Universal Monsters Unmasked. The New York Stay and Scream section gives guests access to Stranger Things 4, The Exorcist Believer, and Dueling Dragons Choose Thy Fate. There's another Stay and Scream location in the San Francisco area that corresponds with the Chucky Ultimate Kill Count Haunted House. If you have the opportunity to do Stay and Scream, we highly recommend it. The first of the scare zones that most guests will encounter at Halloween Horror Nights 32 is Dr. Oddfellow's collection of horror at the front of the park. It seems as though Oddfellow is the newest icon, although this is not his first appearance. Dr. Oddfellow's collection of horror, like all of the scare zones this year, tie directly into Oddfellow's house, which tells his origin story. As guests enter the park, they encounter some of the creatures loyal to Dr. Oddfellow. Oddfellow can be seen on the stage at his wagon or roaming the zone. He is more than happy to stop and talk with guests, though he's hoping you won't leave the interaction with your soul intact. When he takes to the stage, he spins tales of power, offering guests the chance to exchange their soul for an immortal life. To do so, you must survive the night and rise above the horror. You can read our full review at Universal Parks News Today and watch the video of Oddfellow himself right here on the channel. As Halloween Horror Nights 32 guests learn the story of Dr. Oddfellow, they'll find themselves in the Jungle of Doom Expedition Horror Scare Zone. This is the second smallest scare zone, but they know how to play to the area's strengths. This scare zone is our favorite so far this year, and probably in our top 5 favorite scare zones of the past decade. Thick foliage, terrifying and gross ambient sounds, heavy fog, props, and especially the creatures all work in tandem to create a palpable threat. Oddfellow's vignette, wherein he finds a magical skull, has no dialogue but moves the story along effectively. The scare actors here have a lot of good tricks, a favorite being the bird-like stilt walker who squats down to blend in before rising up to tower over passerbys. We also like the strong but low-effort effect of having a few huge bats hanging with glowing eyes and then hundreds of glowing eyes buried in the trees throughout. This was by far the scariest and most creative of the scare zones. The first ever Halloween Horror Nights shop has opened at Orlando International Airport, featuring Halloween Horror Nights merchandise straight from the Universal Parks. If you're traveling through MCO, be sure to stop by and check it out. The HHN bear is there. The shop is in Terminal B on Level 3 and is open from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. This program is brought to you by our official travel agent sponsor, Be Our Guest Vacations. Your dream vacation begins with Be Our Guest Vacations and their concierge team of expert vacation planners. The best part is their concierge services are 100% free. Head over to beourguestvacations.com/WDWNT and the team will design your next epic vacation, from Universal Parks to Walt Disney World and Disneyland Resorts, Disney Cruise Line, Virgin Voyages, Royal Caribbean, and more. Join Joel and Ellie as they travel through Pittsburgh in a haunted house based on Naughty Dog's The Last of Us at Halloween Horror Nights 23 in Universal Studios Hollywood. The house takes guests inside the post-apocalyptic world of The Last of Us in honor of the 10th anniversary of the video game. After a fungal infection from a strain of the cordyceps mushroom causes mass death and transforms infected into monsters, survivors are mostly held in quarantine zones. 20 years after the outbreak, Joel Miller is a middle-aged survivor who smuggles and kills to survive. He takes on a mission to transport a young girl, Ellie Williams, to a band of insurgents called the Fireflies. Ellie is immune to the infection, and the Fireflies think they can study her to reverse engineer a vaccine. The house takes guests through the Pittsburgh Quarantine Zone, a fan favorite section of the original game. Voice actors Troy Baker, Joel, and Ashley Johnson, Ellie, reprised their roles for re-recorded and new dialogue in the house. There's a Last of Us house in Universal Studios Florida, but this one is a vast improvement. Joel and Ellie appear in the house as live actors a lot more, including outside as you enter the building. We like the Florida house just fine, but this one was mind-blowing. We won't be able to look at the Orlando one the same. You can check out full reviews for Orlando and Hollywood over at universalparksnewstoday.com and check out our walkthrough video from Hollywood right here on the channel. If you're going to Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios Hollywood, be sure to check out Blumhouse Behind the Screams. This experience will give you a look at actual screen-use props from Blumhouse films, including the animatronics from the upcoming film Five Nights at Freddy's. You can take a closer look at Blumhouse Behind the Screams in our video right here on the channel. Terror Tram is back, and this time the bugs are taking over. Tour guide Larry Larva and his bug-headed exterminators are out to get rid of human pests once and for all. This year's Terror Tram is incredible. Larry Larva has created a way to get rid of human pests once and for all. The pre-show explains his human pesticide, the Squooge, and how it looks like a milkshake, tastes like a cheeseburger, and smells like warm apple pie. One taste and the humans are done for. Since bugs outnumber humans, Larry Larva is going to exterminate them. The tram takes guests down the hill and around the corner where it pulls up to find Larry Larva waiting. The tram doors open and guests exit, making their way towards Larry and his crew of bug-faced exterminators. The bug-faced scare actors all have chainsaws, and Larry and his chainsaw bugs terrorize guests as they make their way down the path towards the Cockroach Motel, better recognized as the Bates Motel from the daytime tram tour. Instead of just riding by the Bates Motel on the tram as they would normally do during the day, guests are able to walk around the facade of the motel. A banner that reads Motel de las Cucarachas and Stay for a Night or a Lifetime hangs on the side of the motel. Larry Larva is there, and so are tons of bugs. The pre-show video mentions annoying humans like cantankerous Karens, entitled teens, and irritating influencers, and you'll see those people at the motel being attacked by bugs. For example, there's a giant bug that can be seen attacking a woman, a vlogger is shown covered in insects, and bodies are covered in creepy crawlies. Glowing green windows in certain motel rooms show shadows of giant cockroaches crawling on them. Later on in the path, Larry has a human in a bug trap and zaps and fries him, saying, "You can never get used to the smell." After that, guests will make the hike up the hill and find a photo op with Norman Bates in front of his house. This unique experience is one you don't normally get, so be sure to keep an eye out for the standby line to get your photo. After seeing Norman, guests will enter Spider Alley. Here, there are spiders on the walls, and a few scare actor spiders will pop up over the wall and from boo holes. Approaching the end of Spider Alley, you'll see a few more humans, like an older man hunched over with what looks like spider eggs in his face. Around the corner from here is the giant plane crash scene from the War of the Worlds set. Walking through the wreckage, more exterminators come at you from all directions. At one point, there is a human woman with a baby grub in a stroller. She'll run at you with her bug baby, which sprays you with water. The next section is the hatchery, which is a blacklit-filled room with cocoons and more scare actors. Upon exiting, guests will run into another bug before making their way to the Jupiter's Claim set from Nope. In Jupiter's Claim, guests of the attraction are reacting to things in the sky as you pass through. The Tethered from Us are also present here and can be seen stationed throughout the area with intense stares and creepy smiles. Many of them will come at you, some of them with scissors in hand. Once you get through this final section, you will wait to board a tram back. On the return ride, Chucky appears to promote his haunted house, and guests will get dropped off by a violent night photo op with Santa Claus. The tram drops everyone off at the same time, and you do continuously move, but there was no weird rush for us. We honestly weren't expecting this experience to be so good. It was fun and full of scares and a very unique opportunity to walk around the tram tour and get photos with the Psycho House and Norman Bates. It's a must-do for anyone visiting Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios Hollywood. If you can't tell, I loved it. Chucky is causing chaos at Universal Studios Hollywood in the Chucky Ultimate Kill Count House at Halloween Horror Nights 2023. The original voice of Chucky and the actor who portrayed Charles Lee Ray, Brad Dourif, recorded new lines for this house. The meta story of this house is that Universal decided to build a house based on the Chucky series, then invited Chucky himself to see it. He hated it, resulting in killing all of the designers, and made a new house, this time possessing all of the Good Guy dolls that they had bought. The facade is a huge stack of Good Guy doll boxes with different Chucky dolls appearing on screens to talk. We thought the Florida version of the house was okay, even though I personally thought it was the worst. But the Hollywood version is amazing. We were wondering where that promised 8-foot-tall Chucky animatronic was. Well, it's here in Universal Studios Hollywood, and it's an incredible sight. Chucky has an actual kill counter, keeping track of how many deaths have taken place in the house so far. This was lacking from the Florida house and makes the title make a lot more sense in Hollywood. There are dozens of Chucky dolls, as well as a Tiffany doll in a scene recreating her human death. There's also a Gigi doll. Don't skip this house. It's funny and scary, as any Chucky story should be. And of course, there's a video right here on the channel. The Purge, Dangerous Waters is an all-new show for Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios Hollywood. The show is themed to the Purge film franchise and inhabits the theater where Waterworld, a live sea war spectacular, typically takes place. The show features choreographed fights, heart-wrenching stunts, jet skis, and more. You can watch it for yourself right here on the channel. Pokémon are expanding their presence at Universal Studios Japan for the Halloween season at Ha 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 Halloween Party. The characters are set to appear in 2 daytime events, and you have to catch them all. Select Pokémon will appear in 2 separate events, Pokémon Charge Up Halloween Greeting and Pokémon Jumpin' Halloween Party, both of which are scheduled to run from September 11th to November 3rd. The Pokémon Charge Up Halloween Greeting is a more intimate character meet and greet. 5 dancers and characters parade into the venue and interact with guests, teaching them some dance moves and inviting them to join in on the fun. Guests have the opportunity to take photos of the Pokémon and dancers and also receive a paper wristband to celebrate the event. The Pokémon Jumpin' Halloween Party is larger in scale, but calling it a show is a bit of a stretch. It's more of a choreography and jumping session with dancers encouraging the audience to join in. The Pokémon themselves also get in on the fun. Pikachu and Gengar even appear in their special DJ attire. The Ha 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 Halloween Party is Universal Studios Japan's daytime family-friendly Halloween celebration. In addition to Pokémon, guests have the opportunity to interact with characters like My Melody, Kuromi, and the Minions, all of whom are wearing special Halloween costumes. The Ha 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 Halloween Party runs from September 7th through November 5th. You can support the entire team behind this show and others by joining the WDWNT Inner Globe Society at patreon.com/WDWNT. Get access to exclusive content, discounted show and event tickets, and more. A special shout out to all the WIGS members watching who make this show happen every week. For more information on these stories and more, head on over to universalparksnewstoday.com. If you're enjoying the show, be sure to like this video, subscribe to Universal Parks News Today on YouTube for more great content, click the bell for notifications, and make sure to hit select all notifications so you never miss an episode of News Today with Universal Parks News Today. For UPNT, this is Annie Wilson saying the future is whatever you make it, so make it a good one.
This is Disney Entertainment News Today. I'm Rob Whiteside, and here now are the top Disney entertainment stories.
For the latest in Disney entertainment news, watch Disney Entertainment News Today, hosted by Rob Whiteside. From movies and series news to stage shows, books, video games, and more. New episodes drop every Tuesday on WDWNT.tv.